gamers, and welcome to a preview of Stars of Akarios. That's right, today it is a preview of Stars of Akarios. Now you may have heard this name before. Stars of Akarios is by Open Owl Gaming, and this is a relaunch, a 1.5. Now please keep in mind this is a sponsored preview by Open Owl Gaming, and this is the original version of Stars of Akarios. So this is the base game that originally came out, and we will be using this to go over some of the exciting changes that they're doing for their 1.5 release, and you'll be able to either buy the 1.5 version for yourself, or if you already have this copy of Stars of Akarios, there will be an upgrade pack available to you as well that you'll be able to make any changes that you want to have the best version of the game possible. Stars of Akarios is a campaign-based space combat game where players are going to be pilots and they have their own ships which they will be upgrading and doing various combat sequences throughout the galaxy. Now I'm just going to be going over a general overview of the game. Sometimes I go into a bit more detail, but today I'm going to do a general overview and then I'll be focusing on the changes between the first version and 1.5 so that you guys can see what to expect and what changes have been made for the GameFound launch. Now this campaign is currently live on GameFound. You can check out the link down below for any other details, but with that we are just going to jump right into it. Players will have these player boards that they are using, and the majority of the game will be different battle sequences that will be happening on this map where players will be shooting out different alien ships and trying to take them out while navigating the world, such as these different asteroid clusters. Now, that will happen on this player board here, where every turn throughout the combat, players will roll these 4 dice and then use them to assign whatever side they're on to different actions. You can see that everyone has these base actions over here. So for example, if you rolled this symbol, you'd be able to place it on any of these, but you'll also have cards that you are playing as your weapons, your engines, and other things, and you will be able to assign dice to those cards as well to basically upgrade your character, that you always have base actions available, but you will be able to have some agency in how you want to be playing and customize your ship as well. Now there are a few encounters that will be in this deck here that will have your pilot go down to the ground and encounter the actual planet that they're near, and that will behave a little bit differently. I'm not going to go over that because I think it's very exciting and it will be a bit of a spoiler for you, but I will flip this over just to give you an example that you can see players will be using this to basically explore the world. Now this will give you a classic campaign game feel where you are going through different scenarios that are in this large scenario book over here. So you're not going to be doing the same type of scenario over and over. Some of them will have a similar feel, such as exterminating all of the enemies or lasting a certain number of rounds, but the scenario book will guide you through all of the different scenarios that you're doing, and each one will be unique and have different challenges for you along the way and different setups and things like that. You can also see that you'll be tracking the enemies with these fun player boards here, that they're very intuitive and easy to see where their health is, the different statuses that are on them, and you'll be able to see what enemies are out on the board. Now another thing that I think was really fun to keep in mind is that every player has their own ship and their own pilot. So even though you may be playing with 1 to 4 characters, or 1 to 4 players, everyone will have their own ship that they're able to customize and make choices on, so it's not that you all have to be sharing a ship together. Now you'll be doing that on this little tracker here that players will be able to track the different changes that they make throughout the game. And something that I didn't cover yet is the combat in the system. You will be rolling these dice and assigning them, but you will have a modifier deck that you will use after you try to attempt to make your actions. So these modifier decks will then modify, as you guessed, different things that will happen, and eventually there are things like malfunctions that can sneak their way in there that can also have different things happen to you as well. Now this is a story-driven game, so you do have the different scenarios that you are playing through, but there is also a deck of cards over here that you will be encountering, which will move you through the game and have different things happen to you where you're able to make choices. Now again, I'm not going to go into it too much because this is spoiler territory, and we will be getting into this for one of the major changes between version 1 and 1.5, but just to give you an example, this is a planet and it shows you the different interaction points that you would then be using to, interact with the card. Alright, so that is a general overview of how Stars of Akarios plays and what version 1 is like. Now there are 2 expansions coming as well as the upgrade pack, so now I'm going to talk about the differences between version 1 and 1.5 so you can see why it would be exciting for you to jump in on this, especially if you're a fan of the first version. Open Owl Games has taken a lot of feedback and looked at version 1 and saw what changes they could make to make version 1.5 even better. So one of the first things they did, which I think most publishers should do, is an updated rulebook. They took a lot of feedback and any changes that needed to be made to make this a lot clearer. Now keep in mind this is the version 1 original rulebook, but there will be an updated rulebook for players to use, as well as an updated scenario book. Now the updated scenario book will have a couple different things. It's not just going to be updated, but it will be tweaked a little bit for balances, and there will be updated writing as well. For those that love the lore and diving into campaign games, it will be updated to be even more immersive for you as you're playing throughout the game. Another thing that's being added to the 1.5 is starting character loadouts. Now, there are loadouts for the characters that you are able to use in 1.5 that are a bit of a starter for you to know how to start the game, and these are loaded out in a way that is very balanced to give players an optimal way to start the game and have a team that they feel very good with playing throughout the game, because, let's be honest, when you don't understand a game or really know it yet, you're not going to know exactly what's best for a loadout, and with this, they will start you off in the best position possible. Now, the cards over here that I mentioned are the Galaxy cards. There's going to be a Galaxy Atlas, which is a big change between version 1 and 1.5. So instead of having these cards that you interact with that are laid out across the table, there will instead now be a book with reusable stickers, and you'll be using that to track the different things that you're unlocking and interacting with throughout the game. Now, speaking of that, that will be one of the changes that is also for 1.5 is the update pack. So if you already have the base version of the game, the first version, there are some things that will absolutely still be relevant to you, such as your miniatures, which are hopefully painted, but a few things that will come in the 1.5 pack so that you can upgrade your game is there will be the Galaxy Atlas spread for you, so you'll be able to play with that instead. You'll also get the updated rulebook, the updated scenario book, and something that I didn't mention yet is the cards will also get an overhaul as well. So the cards will be getting graphic design tweaks and changes and also some balancing changes, and you will get all new cards that are affected to those changes so that you are able to play with a version 1.5. Alright, so that has been a lot of version 1 versus 1.5, but what's new? For those that love Stars of Akarios or are interested in getting as much as possible, let's talk about the 2 expansions that are also in this launch that you can add to your pledge. So there is a Drones of Akarios expansion. This is going to add a brand new drone mechanic that will be added to the game that was developed for this expansion, and it will include 6 drones in it. Now there will also be new pilots that you are able to use that you can use throughout the game, and there are new event mechanics. On top of that, there is a standalone story that is meant just for the Drones of Akarios so that you won't be able to experience any other way, and more. And as I said, the campaign is currently active, so if you'd like to check out exactly what's in either of these expansions that I'm mentioning, please go over to the campaign page where you can see the visuals for what I'm talking about. Now, the second expansion that's added is the Battles of Akarios. This is going to be one-off space combat, so you'll be fighting within this area, but it will be one-off scenarios in which you will, instead of upgrading your different decks, which you will do throughout the campaign, you will have a market they are able to choose from to be using throughout the specific scenario instead. Now these scenarios also have streamlined combat rules. That way it's meant for more of a one-shot. If you have friends that want to come over and play for one game, you can kind of have them come over, play the Battles of Akarios, have a taste of what the game is like, and then suck them into Stars of Akarios. Now, before we go, I have something special that I really want to show you. For those of you that are familiar with the original Stars of Akarios, there is also a Ships of Akarios. Now, these are miniatures for all of the enemy ships, which are usually standees in the base game. However, if you want to upgrade them, you are able to get a miniature version. Something that Open Owl Gaming decided to do was not only a ship pack for this, but for the version 1.5, there will also be a terrain pack as well. So you can see how diverse all of these different enemy ships are that you are able to upgrade, and just imagine you can also get a box of terrain where you can have different things such as possibly these different asteroids being 3D for you instead. You can see where it would be a lot easier to both visualize the different battles and look a bit more epic on your table with these miniatures. Thank you all for watching this preview for Stars of Akarios. As a reminder, this is a campaign game where you will be playing as pilots with your ships, going through a campaign story with this different scenario book, and there are new expansions for you to check out. Their campaign is currently live on GameFound. You can go over to the link down below, and you can see all of the differences between version 1 and 1.5. Thank you all for watching this preview. I'm Professor Meg, and I'll see you later. Bye!